Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
Welcome back. This is Wendy Babcock with Wen Stories, and today I'm joined with Traycee. Welcome, Traycee.
Hey, Wendy. I'm so excited to be with you today.
Yeah, always love having conversations with you. So I just want you to jump in and just tell everyone who you are. Give a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, who am I? Traycee Mayer is a multi-certified executive coach. I got my first credential from UC Berkeley. Since then, become an edge walker and archetype of change facilitator, and also International Coaching Federation. I have been in leadership 40 plus years, have always been that person who wants to lift others up, from every person on my team, not just the leaders and the directors, but every employee from no matter what position they are, because I've spent so many years managing large facilities, and I know it takes a whole group of people and everything that every person contributes to be successful.
Wow. So in everything that you're doing, what's kind of the favorite part? What's the part where you really like, what really lights you up?
Oh, it lights me up when I get to interact with people face to face, when I can see that light bulb go on, where I can propose questions to them that help them think about the fact that they have the answers, that they have the talent and the ability, and they have the insight to do great things. That as an executive coach, it's not about me. It's I can be a mentor, I can be a consultant, but it's when I coach people, true coaching, which is guiding people to see their own brilliance. That gets me super excited, and I love that, and I love doing that with groups too. So the more the merrier, right?
I can see that with you totally. Just being around you and the time that we've spent together through One Stories, I can totally see how that being around people really lifts you up.
Absolutely.
I can see that. So who is kind of the ideal client for you? Like, who do you most like to work with? I know that can be a variety of people, but like this person shows up on your doorstep, like, I need your help. Who is that? You're like, oh yes, this is them.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a leader, either a founder or a CEO of a company, that is like, I have these amazing people, but I want to scale up my company, or we're not retaining business that we need, or we want to grow the teamwork so that everybody's all headed in the right direction, something like that, where they need someone to identify that, it's going to take some work, but it can be done, and just being able to show that there are ways to kind of get their arms around the whole team. Pay attention, especially that each of those individual team members have their own unique personality, talents to contribute to their company. And if they can tap into that and create some genuine connections with their teams, the sky's the limit. It's just really paying attention to the individual employees, and not giving people, just, talk, but actually putting their heart behind the connection with their employees. Yeah.
I love that. So in what ways do you work with, ideal clients and companies? Is it mostly speaking, workshops? What does that look like?
Yeah, so so some of my clients just want a keynote. They just want to be inspired. They want motivation. They want someone new and fresh to come and say, "Hey, I've done this." They love hearing stories about how I've been able to take teams. All the years that I've been a venue manager, a full service hotel manager, a facility manager. How managing by walking around and just really engaging with my employees and respecting them as individuals, Just I have hundreds, if not thousands, of stories of how I've made an impact on one individual's life that changed the course of how they did their job. And you get to do that one at a time. And hopefully I get to share that with other leaders and other founders of companies and show them it's sounds complicated. Is it hard? Yes. Can it be done? Yes. It's really about willingness, and it's not as hard as it looks, because once you get that ball rolling of getting your team excited and passionate about guest service and about the company they work for, and they know that the owner or their boss respects them and looks to them as just another reason why the company is successful. It's just it comes back to this, heart and meaning, people identifying that each individual is important to an organization. So that's my sweet spot. I like to find a way to tell those stories and equate them to any kind of organization. It's all about the people when it comes down to it.
Yeah. And I can see with you, with how we've gotten to know each other, how you're a very good listener, so that I can see where that plays into what you do, really listening, not just on the surface level, like hearing somebody, but listening to find like the gaps of like, where they can improve, what are they missing? Where are the stories that need to be told, and who needs to be seen more? So that's what I'm kind of hearing as you're talking. So, I mean, that's a gift. That's not something that everybody just naturally has, right? So that's what makes you individual and, shine in a way that maybe somebody else couldn't in that same role. And I love finding that with people. And that comes through story. And you talked about that already. And this is a great segue too into, you're used to hearing stories, right? And telling stories, but what was it like for you, getting on the one story stage and really stepping into your own story, like that personal side of you, not the business side so much?
Oh my goodness. So first of all, you are an amazing friend, and you are an amazing professional. I can't help but just have felt like I've hit the jackpot in meeting you. From a personal level as well as professional, because you're so talented. And I'll feel fortunate, because I don't know that I could have done that with anyone else. Like there was some time where you just kind of you held space for me and allowed me to kind of become comfortable with the idea of sharing my own story to the depth that I have, which I have not before. Some of the things, the changes that really I made in my life, that caused all of these other courageous changes to take place. And I don't think I thought about it ahead of time, how hard it is to tell my own story and to put it out there to the universe. But knowing that it could help someone else change their lives, or look at their situation and go, okay, I can do this, and look at life in a different perspective, or look at other people in a different perspective, that we are all connected. We have a lot of ability as individuals to make choices, and to make them more courageously, as opposed to someone else has got control of my life, because that's not true at all. It may seem that way, but it's really not. So, the difference was just really getting on that stage. But the blessings that I found were just tenfold, including this tribe that we've built. Incredible individuals. I'm hooked.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a community that builds in the process of going through telling your story, the people that go through the same cohort as you. And I found that true every time. And, so it's wonderful when it happens each time, like just so organically.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that say yes to this, they're meant to be in that specific group that goes through for that reason. Right.
Yeah.
So in writing the story down, right, and kind of building what you were going to say on stage, did you find difficulty in like what to say, which areas to share, or did you feel like what came up was meant to be?
Yeah, I didn't find it difficult at all. In fact, once I started writing it kind of came together rather quickly. I think after that, it was me deciding should I include this or not include this? And as time went on, and I have a feeling you knew this would happen, if we just start letting go, it does
Mhm.
start turning into the story that we're supposed to tell. And the more I let go, the more I felt comfortable telling that story. And, things switched around a little bit, things that I thought were so important that I get that in there, and I tried so hard to get those words right. I just kept getting tangled up and, um, you know, couldn't speak those words. And instead the right things came out and they flowed. And, it felt very free on stage. With except the light that's very bright. um, it just felt very easy, and found that I could probably talk longer. So here comes those
Yeah.
keynote speaking, right?
Right. And that's a big part of it is the letting go part. Because
Yes.
as professionals, we're trained to show up and be organized and have all of our thoughts and
Mhm.
words planned. But with one stories, what I like to do is kind of push outside those boundaries because we all know our stories. And so it
Right.
doesn't have to show up perfect. You don't have to have exact words. It's how it's supposed to come out and just speaking from your heart. Even though we say that, like, oh yeah, I could do that, but then getting on stage and doing it sometimes can be a whole different story, literally.
Absolutely, and feeling comfortable. I think, as you alluded to with the group, there was something spiritual and inspirational and I guess mystical, you could say. We talk about Kathy too,
Yeah.
but all of their stories. And there's if I could take something from each of them and apply it to my life right now and what I'm going through, and being front row to their stories, over the course of the time that we got together, has helped me in certain aspects of my life currently. So I can't imagine how the collective stories for the June group could not just really impact a lot of people. And, we always say if it could help one person, I think it's going to be way more than that.
Yeah. And that, yeah, the goal is one, but boy, there's always a ripple effect from that one, right? So that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do is create the impact. So how can people find you? So we're going to have your links and all that stuff, but what's the easiest way for someone who's like, oh my gosh, I need more Traycee in my life?
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I hope they do. Because I need more of other people in my life as well. Because I just love lifting others up. So they
Mhm.
can reach me. My company is called BU Leadership, BEYOU leadership.com. They could go on there, book a 30-minute free session just to chat with me. They could fill out some information and stay up to date on special coaching projects I work on. Sometimes I do outdoor coaching, like with hikes and that sort of thing. I've written a book. I've written an oracle deck. I've traveled all over the world. I'm an avid scuba diver and mountain biker, and yeah, a lot of that stuff comes into play when people reach out to me. So, and yeah, speaking, facilitating, keynote, private coaching, group coaching, all of that's all available on that website. And the idea when I first started the company was I was continuing to lean into my own authenticity. And so BU leadership is about being you and leading authentically. So I hope I hear from all of you.
Yeah. Yep. And and in the show notes, you'll see all of Tracy's information there. And we're going to play her one story, the audio next. You can hear exactly all the things that Traycee has done. And you'll understand, like, to get the blessing of having a free 30-minute call with Traycee, like, take her up on that. She talks a lot about stepping into courage. So if you're feeling that block from fear, that's a good time to reach out to Traycee and see how she can help you. So thank you so much, Traycee. I'm so excited to play your one story for everybody next.
I'm so excited too. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. All right, and stay tuned. Up next is Traycee's one story.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
when everything changed. It was December of 2020, and I was down in my favorite canyon in Southern California. The sun was shining, the birds were out, the leaves were green, and it was one of those days. It just felt so warm and wonderful. It was one of those days where you thought, where had winter gone? I was going down my favorite canyon all by myself. It was a trail that I'd hiked and mountain biked for more than 20 years. And I could hear this babbling brook to my side, where it had rained just a few weeks prior to that. And just smiling, this impish smile that I could feel that only I have when I'm down in my canyon by myself, feeling happy and enjoying where I'm at. And as I was walking down a couple miles into my hike, I was walking down the trail and suddenly something caused me to stop very abruptly. And right where I was standing, I didn't move. I looked behind me for a moment to see if there was someone there, and there was no one. But I still couldn't move my feet. I still felt as though there was something in front of me that kept me from going any further. I looked back again, just to double check. And what I saw were rocks and dirt and a little bird chirping as it flew by my head. It was such a beautiful day and a wonderful moment. But something had changed. And at that moment, later, I contemplated that it almost felt as though I passed through the secret doorway from the first half of my life and into the second. And you see, at 55 years old, I felt like I had made all of the decisions and the choices in my life that I would make from then till evermore. Because most of you know, our friends, our family, our community, the churches we get raised in, the school we end up going to, what college, what profession, who we marry, all of those things have a great impact on the choices that we make. But they're not always the ones that take us through to the end of our life. I had walked these many pathways so many years. And I saw before me a path going down and towards the brook. I saw another path or two or three going off into the distance and down into the canyon further. And there was another trail to my right that went up through the trees and over the mountain. So there's all these choices still ahead of me, and I could make any one of them. And what I felt in this very moment was a message to me that from this point forward, all of the decisions that I would be making would be by me and they would be for me. But let me step back a minute. About a dozen years before, there was a lot of great fear in my life. I'm not sure I had been choosing the right pathways to travel down. I was a busy young female climbing the corporate executive ladder, and one of the things during that time was joining all of the other executives for lunch. We learned very quickly how to drink a double scotch on the rocks at lunch. Sometimes that was our lunch. But it was one way to get into the personal space of some people that would have an impact on my career later down the road. But what I found for me, that was a really slippery slope. For me, the rocks at the bottom of an empty glass would almost be the death of me. And at that time, I made a choice, a very courageous choice. I wouldn't know it then, but I made a decision to not ever drink another drop of alcohol, to rely on a higher power in the heavens that would help guide me and give me the clarity and the confidence to move forward in a different way. From there, life got really exciting because I was beginning to see opportunities for choices. Some fun things I decided I wanted to do was become an advanced open water scuba diver. Now, some people start slow, the discovery dive, the certification, the advanced certification, and so on and so forth. Well, being the overachiever that I am, I went from the beginning to being an advanced diver in 6 months. I was able to dive down to 120 feet. I even grabbed another certification so that I could breathe nitrox, which is a mixture of gas and oxygen, so that I could stay down longer. And I began to travel to some amazing places I never thought of. I definitely used my passport. I would travel to Fiji for several weeks. I traveled to the Philippines, Hawaii 100 times. I would just find all these amazing experiences that I could do underwater, something that I was so afraid of many years prior, but always wondered what it was like. And I made that decision for me to be able to be down in that very spiritual place of being in the ocean and seeing things that only a small percentage of people get to see. Oh my goodness. I have had the most amazing experiences flying all over the world. At one time, I flew to the Maldives. I left LAX. I flew over the North Pole, down over Russia, and into Male, which is the capital of the Maldivian Islands. From there, I took another flight to a smaller island, and then from there, a boat to another boat. And for 8 days, we had an amazing chef on the boat who prepared all our meals, and we got to dive every day and experience some amazing things. One morning, I remember this group of individuals that I met that were from different cultures, different languages. But there was 3 or 4 of them us this day that we were down at the bottom of the ocean, probably about 85 feet. We were laying on our stomach. And we were waiting for what we know would be some giant manta rays. It was one of their playgrounds. But while we were waiting, we were very entertained by these little worms. They were called sandworms, and they would be popping up. There was thousands of them in this white sand at the bottom of the ocean, and that's where they lived. And they would pop up, and I swear they had little smiley faces on them. And we would just laugh. And we couldn't laugh with our regulator in our mouth, but so we got to do this. This is what we did when we were seeing cool stuff under the ocean. But we would look at each other and smile. And moments later, here would come these beautiful giant manta rays in this intimate ballet with one another. And they would come and go, and they would fly right over our heads. I mean, we could see their gills. We could see, we could touch them, but we didn't want to. We didn't want to interfere with this beautiful experience they were having. And then later that night was my first night dive. I was definitely fearful because we got in the water as the sun was setting. And as I let the air out of my vest and I started descending into the darkness of the ocean, the lights were getting darker. And we had flashlights with us just to make sure that we could see underwater. And when I felt my fin hit the bottom of the ocean, I knew that we were at the bottom. And this is where the sharks were swimming around. And I wasn't at all afraid. There were a lot of them. But what we found scuba diving at depths is that the sharks aren't all the monsters that people think that they are. They don't really like bubbles coming out of something with a funny little mask and a tank, metal tank. So they would come up to me, hit me, and bump me, and then take off on their own. And I could swear, and any of my friends or family would tell you, if there was a house spider coming down about that same length, I'd find a way to scream. That's just who I am. That was a really amazing, amazing trip. I also learned to skydive. On my 45th birthday, I went skydiving, and 13,500 feet. It's half of of the height to Mount Everest, and it was thrilling. I remember I had this really handsome, tall, very experienced skydiver attached to my back, so I think that made it a lot more fun when I just jumped out of the plane. And I learned to mountain bike, become a level 2 mountain biker, which most women don't do, especially after 40. And it's still a passion that I have today, and I've brought my mountain bikes here to Wisconsin, and found some snow last year. It was my first time mountain biking in the snow. So what's happened here is I've become a change expert. I'm a change instigator. I'm what you call an edge walker. I'm the kind of person who loves to take risks now. I am someone who builds bridges between cultures, between people, between opportunities in life. And it's something I celebrate. I'm also certified to facilitate the archetypes of change. I just happen to have very high scores on Edgewalker. Through my coaching and speaking and taking people on outdoor adventures, I've helped guide others and find the clarity and the confidence of doing things and making choices in our lives, choices that turn into courage. About 2 years ago, my son, who had already moved to Wisconsin, had said to me when my new grandbaby was just a few months old, he's like, "Mom, why don't you move here with us so that you could see your grandbaby grow up?" And I said, "Honey, that's what planes are for. I fly all over the place." And I had been there many times. I got to be there the night they announced that they were having the baby, and they showed me the sonogram. I actually thought it was a cat. Anyways, the little love of my life now it lives right here where I live in Madison. So, but what happened was I decided if I can go anywhere on a plane, I can certainly have my home base here and fly anywhere else in the world. So I found a place in Wisconsin, in Madison, made an offer, put my house up for sale in Southern California, where I had lived 58 years. And my house sold in 5 days, and they wanted a 4-week escrow. So I had actually 4 weeks to unpack the house I was living in, which was 27 years I had been there, and move across the country. So me and a little Mercedes sports car and my 2 cats, while the rest of my stuff was already on its way. What an amazing thing to have happened. And last year, made a decision to go to Spain to walk the Camino de Santiago. I went with 3 women I've never met. We met in Madrid, and a couple days into the adventure, I will say, I decided I need some space and I wanted to walk on my own. So I took off on this off beaten path, off the GPS. It was raining, it was windy, and I had all of the gear on that I needed for, to protect me from the rain, but I felt like the wind was going to blow my backpack off. I felt like the rain just wouldn't stop. It was relentless. And as I was walking up a hill, it wasn't just a dirt hill, it was mud pouring down under my feet. And, just trying to get a grip and keep walking and being tired and cold and the wind. And at that moment, I felt my higher angels grab onto my wrists, to both of them, and helped me up that mountain. I knew that I was there to experience more than just a hike, but to get closer to my inner source and to the strength that I find when I make these decisions today of courage. I kept going on. Later on that day, there was so much rain. We would find out that it was a Category 1 hurricane. And a street we were supposed to cross to get to our hotel turned out to be a river. And in just a few moments, without even thinking, people that I'd never met, speaking languages I had never heard of, we all linked arms. We linked arms and we helped each other, as humans do. We helped each other get safely across that road. was such an amazing experience. And throughout that whole trip, I had taken some little scallop shells where I had painted a red heart in them. And I would be walking along, and when no one else would see, I would place one here on the side of the trail, or there might be a tree with a neat little knot in it, and I would stick the shell up there because I wanted someone else like me to come by and be walking on their own and want to see a message that they're connected and that someone else mattered to them and they mattered to someone else. So I was doing that and busy on one of our final days, and I saw this incredible field of trees. They must have been thousands of years old, and I'm sure they were. And they were hundreds of feet tall, and they were covered in moss on all sides, and they were perfectly lined up. In the distance, I could see 2 black stallions. They were feeding on whatever was in the ground, and it was such a magical view just to see what I saw. And I also knew that royalty had passed this way on horseback or carriage or whatever way they traveled it, but it was known for royalty even becoming pilgrims and having this experience to go and walk the Camino. I wanted to take one last selfie of that beautiful background of the trees and the horses in the far distance. So I stood there and click, took my selfie. And at that moment, I felt a little snort and a little warmth of air under my hair and under my hat. And as I looked sideways, I noticed it was one of those black stallions. It was a gift from the universe that this was such a perfect journey, and this is exactly where I was supposed to be. I now have that picture blown up pretty large in canvas in my office to remind me of these amazing adventures that I go on and these things that I get to choose to do today. If I needed any evidence, I've written a book. I've published just a few months ago an oracle deck on with 75 pictures of places I've traveled in the world over the past 17 years especially. And so what I want to say to you today is I want to hear what's scaring you. I want you to tell me what you're fearful of. I want you to share with me what's scary, and we can lean in together. Because one thing's for certain, I got you.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When